to the regular meeting of Vesuvius Town Council, Tuesday, May 21st, 2019, at 2 p.m. in Council Chambers. And first we will do the adoption of some minutes, the Committee of the Whole minutes of May the 6th, the regular open minutes of May the 6th, and the public hearing minutes of May the 6th. Could I please have a motion to, thank you, Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Bennett, all in favor? Thank you. No business arising. Any introduction of late items, Mrs. Hilson? No. So could we have a motion, please, that the agenda, today's meeting, be adopted? That would be Councillor Harvey, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And next is water matters. Let me get that on here. Water matters F. Here we are. To report on expenditures from accounts payable for water councillors and council approval. So water district cash requirements to May the 21st are in the amount of $18,566.44.
14 cents.
14 cents. Apologize. 14 cents. Would you like to approve that, Mr. Marrera? Councillor Marrera, thank you. Councillor Rhodes seconding that. All in favor. Thank you. No correspondence. And so our first bylaws is the 5-year financial plan. Mr. Zackel.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So before Council is 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw 1349.01 2019. Section 165.2 of the Community Charter states the financial plan may be amended by bylaw at any time. The financial plan must not set out proposed expenditures by the bylaw or municipality, pardon me, proposed revenue sources, proposed transfers between funds, information set out for each of the 5 years covered under the financial plan. The Act requires certain particulars must be included, however, the amount of detail is a matter for local determination. The financial plan must not plan for a deficit, and the total proposed revenue sources plus transfers from other funds must not exceed the total of proposed expenditures and transfers to other funds. 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw 1349.01 2019 was given first 3 readings at the May 6, 2019 meeting of Council and is being brought forward for Council's consideration of adoption. The purpose of this amending financial plan is to add a project called Evacuation Route Planning, Town of Vesuvius, in the amount of $25,000, which is fully funded through the Community and Emergency Preparedness Fund through UBCM, approved by the province. This project was originally discussed in November 2018 for Council to approve a grant application, and that grant was actually successful. Section 166 of the Community Charter requires Council to undertake a process of public consultation regarding proposed financial plan before it's adopted. The Act does not specify the format of the public consultation process, and it may be varied at Council's discretion to suit the local community. The financial information is available on the town's website. An opportunity for the public to provide input can be given prior to Council considering adoption of this financial plan amendment bylaw. Under Implications Community, significant amount of capital projects are planned for 2019 that will enhance the community and improve the infrastructure in the town and rural service area. Under Budget, updates to the budget to include changes to the referenced above. Significant dates, public input into the financial plan after first 3 readings and prior to Council consideration for adoption. And under Sustainability, working to ensure maintaining service levels of service for the community and financial sustainability for the town. So options before Council. First option for Council to give the public an opportunity to speak to this bylaw amendment. Once that's done, staff is recommending option 2 for Council to adopt the 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw 1349.01 2019.
Thank you very much. So we do not have anyone here to speak to this. Was anyone given the opportunity to phone or send an email or write, and has anyone done that?
No, we haven't received anything. We put the ad into 2 weeks into the Times, as well as posted the e-news and on our town's website. So we've received nothing in written communication.
Okay, good, thank you. So, council, could we, that was sort of option one. Do we have to go through that and make a, I mean, we've given that opportunity. All right. So we need to have a motion, please, for option, I assume, option one first. Am I okay? You're okay with that?
Yeah, thank you, Member McCarty. I'll move the staff recommended option number one.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Harvey. All in favor of that? Thank you. And that being done, could we have another motion then to option two? Councillor Harvey, Councillor King. All in favor of adopting this? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Zackel. And are you going home to go to bed? Because you don't look well. You don't sound well. Yeah, take care of yourself. So the next thing is a business, councillor expenses. So I'm going to ask Councillor Rhodes if he would like to make the motion to have the three Councillor King, Councillor Harvey, and Councillor Bennett.
Yep, so moved.
All right, and I will second that motion, that we approve their expenses. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next is Ms. McKay, 3 Harbour Key Drive.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So this is in consideration of a proposed craft brewery / liquor establishment at 3 Harbour Key Drive. So Sarah Vanderhoven has expressed interest in opening a licensed establishment at 3 Harbour Key Drive, as shown in the map in your report. The subject property is correctly zoned for this use. The proponent requires support from local government in order to proceed with their application to the liquor distribution branch. So staff have reviewed Part 8 of liquor licensing branch application, which, once completed by the applicant, serves as notice to local governments. The liquor branch requests that local governments consider new applications and provide the branch with a resolution in respect of the application. Alternatively, the local government may delegate staff with the authority to provide comments. A local government may also choose not to provide comments, in which case the branch will then gather public input and may contact local government staff for information to assist them in considering the regulatory criteria. The applicant is aware that compliance with all sections of the zoning bylaw, business license bylaw, and the BC Code is required. The proposed location for a licensed establishment is in the hotel area of our community. A new liquor establishment fits in well with the tourist nature of this area, and staff will ensure proposal complies with relevant bylaws and policies. Previous members of council will recall we did this for another one just down the road last year. Implications to the community. Community input on where licensed establishments may be located is sought during the development of a zoning bylaw. Public input on craft distilleries was sought during the rezoning process for the craft distillery located on Lakeshore Drive, at which time craft distillery was added as a permitted use in the C1, C3, and C4 zones. Licensed establishments are also permitted in the C1, C3, and C4 zones. Organizationally, there are no implications. There are no implications to the budget at this time. No significant dates have been established. With respect to sustainability, the proposed use would contribute to economic sustainability by diversifying the range of businesses and new opportunities in our community. Options before council today presented from staff are option 1, council opts out of leading a public consultation process and has delegated the authority to the Director of Planning and Development to provide comments to liquor control and licensing branch should they request assistance. Or option 2, council provides comments once an application has been received from the province, and staff are recommending option 1.
Thank you very much. Anybody like to, Councillor Harvey?
Could you explain more, in a little bit more detail, what's the nature of the retail of the operation? I mean, is it a craft brewery for local or distribution through wholesale and retail channels, or on site? Or I don't understand from this report what I'm really looking at.
Right. So what's happening right now is they're applying for a liquor license to sell possibly just beer and wine, that kind of thing, on a patio type of setting, right? But the hope is to have like a craft distillery, either located there or the actual distillery would be at a different location, but specifically for their business.
So go ahead, Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor Kordoff. To Ms. McKay, what are you concerned about the people driving out onto the highway there, making left-hand turns? Or would you make them go around by the light, or is that not a concern in the summer when it's so busy?
I mean, I would actually suspect that most of the people that would visit this site are going to be people walking, riding their bikes, people in the area specifically, I would think. Another option across the bridge, as we locals like to say. But we're not going to direct people to drive to the light any more than we would the neighbors that live in the area. The locals will know to go to the light.
So, Councillor Rhodes, then Councillor King.
Thank you, Member Kordoff.
Establishment.
Just to echo Councillor Harvey's question, serving liquor outside, is that
That's
just
correct.
for clarity? Yeah.
Yes, but of course it's all subject to the license arrangement, but that is the intent. So it's a limited space that they would have, a limited number of patrons that they could accommodate there.
Okay, would there be food connected with that?
They're not applying for food at this time.
Do you not have?
It's also
to serve
subject-
food
it's-
when you serve
it's-
liquor?
It's,
No?
no.
Sorry,
you don't.
I knew. Councillor King.
I guess I just want to, technically, they could just open a beer and wine store if they didn't proceed with a distillery.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure you.
The zoning is permitted.
Yeah,
permitted.
It could
It's
just be a beer
correct.
and wine store and never be a distillery.
Yes.
So that's.
Oh,
what that
not
was
a beer
gonna
and
be.
wine store. No.
For the liquor
oh.
license, they're applying for a liquor license. Specifically as a distillery or as a beer and wine store?
Not as a beer and wine store, as a liquor establishment, like that you'd go and sit and have a drink, a pub.
Okay.
Oh, that's-
See, I got
Yeah.
mixed up. I
Okay.
thought they were
Sorry.
selling bottles of liquor there.
No,
Yeah.
no, sorry,
Okay.
no.
So the proposed craft brewery, because they haven't got that organized, right now they're just asking for a liquor establishment where they will sell beer and wine or whatever on outside, or are they planning to have tables inside too?
Outside.
Okay, just outside. And proposed craft brewery perhaps in the future?
Correct.
Okay. Would they have to come back to see you if they wanted to include the craft brewery part of it?
No.
Or, no, because you would be giving them a license
Correct.
for either or. Okay, or both. Okay, thank you.
Well, to be clear, we don't issue the license
No,
unless
I
it's the
meant
business
the okay.
license.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Business license, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
follow up on Madam Mayor. Clary, don't they need to serve food when they serve
I
alcohol
thought so
outside?
too.
Through the chair, no, you do not need to. Depends on what kind of license you apply for.
Okay.
So a food primary license would be the license you're referring to, where you would go in and you would have a bite to eat and you may order a drink.
Yeah.
Whereas this would be liquor primary. So you can serve food at your own, at your own whim. Now, they have discussed with me some plans to have some food available, but we're not saying they're not putting that in their business plan.
And obviously you have to have interior health, that type of thing involved. And did you not say that they had already
Yes,
been
and
down to
Interior Health, to clarify, Interior Health has already visited the site and has advised Mr. Paget that he can issue the building permit for
Okay.
the interior works.
Good, thank you. So what we need now is a motion, please, to either do one or two. Councillor Rhodes,
Thank you, Member Kordoff. I'll move option one.
thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor King, thank you. Any questions, concerns? Okay, all in favor. Thank you. And I'm assuming they will be able to, Ms. McKay, get that up and running in a month, or maybe? We don't know.
That would be lovely, but we did say they needed approval from the province.
Yeah, so that might take a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Request for support for dangerous dog appeal. Mrs. Hilson.
Thank you. The Town of Osoyoos received a letter from the License Inspectors and Bylaws Officers Association, the BIA, of British Columbia, as there's a precedent-setting local government dangerous dog case at the BC Court of Appeal, Santix versus the Animal Control Officer for the City of Vancouver. The issue involves jurisdiction and the expansion of judicial discretion. Municipalities have seen increased costs on dangerous dog enforcement since a decision in the 2008 R versus Kuo. The costs have risen from approximately $5,000 to $10,000 per case to between $25,000 and $67,000. At the 2016 UBCM, there was a unanimous resolution which was passed that condemned the case law interpretation of Kuo and supported an amendment to Section 49 of the Community Charter. The LIBOA has retained an appellate counsel and Dominion Government Law LLP as the LIBIO were granted intervenor status on behalf of animal control officers and local governments throughout BC. The LIBIA are asking for counsel to make a contribution of $1,000 to the nonprofit society to be used for this appeal, which is being held on May 22nd, 2019. In 2018, the Town of Osoyoos had 2 cases of dog attacks, in which one case the owner took the animals and left town before any action could be taken. The second incident, the owner surrendered the dog to the SPCA. In previous years, the town has dealt with approximately 45 cases of dog attacks during the year. The town has only had 2 cases of animal control issues going to court going to court as both were disputed. The town has deemed approximately 4 dogs as vicious dogs set out in the Animal Control Bylaw number 1316, 2000 I don't believe it's 2019, I believe it's 2016, which states, a vicious dog means that a dog that has, without provocation, caused a serious injury to a person or a domestic animal, has a known propensity, tendency, or disposition to attack persons or a domestic animal without provocation, or displays unprovoked aggressive behavior. The Town of Osoyoos had not had a dangerous dog case, but a dangerous dog is defined in Animal Control Bylaw as killed or seriously injured a person, has killed or seriously injured a domesticated animal while in a public place or while on private property other than the property owned or occupied by the person responsible for the dog, or an animal control officer has a reasonable grounds to believe is likely to kill or seriously injure a person. So implications to the community, none. Organizationally, none. Budget in discussion with the Director of Finance. If Council wishes to support Libya, there is funding available in the bylaw enforcement account. Significant dates they would like to know by tomorrow. And sustainability, we had none. So options before Council, that Council supports the License Inspectors and Bylaw Officer Association of British Columbia in the amount of $1,000. That Council does not support the License Inspectors and Bylaw Officers Association of British Columbia, and that Council requests further information. And staff are recommending option 1 to support the License Inspectors and Bylaw Officers Association in the amount of $1,000, as it could be possible that the town will have to defend a dangerous dog case in court at some point in the future.
Thank you very much. Can I ask one of the incidents that you referred to? As I recall, a couple of years ago, there was a dog that was attacked down at Gyro by another dog. Is that one of the ones that you were referring to? That either?
No.
Oh,
no. So we've taken 2 to court. One last year, and it was dismissed actually by the judge because we went, I think, twice, and the first time the person that was disputing showed up 10 minutes late, and they actually the judge had awarded in our favor, and then when the person came back, they actually took that back, and we had to call back our witness, and they rescheduled. And then the second time, our witness was not available, and so the judge awarded in the disputer's favor.
okay.
And then I think there was a case in 2015, and that one we were successful.
So has it cost us a lot of money over the last couple of years? Obviously, court time and time for staff to attend, am I correct?
Yes,
Okay.
staff time. Our Director of Corporate Services went in 2015, as well as I think 2 staff members, and then last year it would have been our bylaw enforcement's time.
Okay, good, thank you. Councillor Rhodes?
Thank you, Member Kordoff. If the amount was $10,000 or $1, I'd ask the same question. I'm not familiar with this organization, and I always am quite hesitant in giving money to. Have we researched it? Are they legitimate? I'm surprised that those acronyms that everybody has, you have a tendency to kind of remember. I've never heard of this group before, and I'm wondering if are they actively involved in bylaw? Like, I don't know anything about them. I'd be a lot comfortable if
Yeah, I believe they are, because Jeanette was, from our Director of Corporate Services, was familiar with this organization.
So how do they relate to bylaw enforcement in the municipality? Do they oversee the regulations, or?
This would be an association of bylaw enforcement people, similar to LGMA is an association of public administrators in local government. So our local bylaw enforcement person would be a member of this particular association. So what's happened is that they're given the nature of the decision related to the KO case. Apparently, it was very much against the local government. So now they're going in dispute of that particular application. So the Bylaw Enforcement Association sees merit of making a stand on it. So that's why they're going to why they need assistance with their appeal, and they've hired lawyers to do it.
So it's a member-driven association.
Member-driven association, yes.
Non-profit.
Yep.
Says here.
Okay.
I kind of feel the same way as Councillor Rhodes. I wasn't quite sure what to make of this, but if you have recommended this, you've obviously got enough confidence that this is the appropriate way to proceed. Is that what I get from the report?
The reason for the rationale for supporting it is that we know that the whole enforcement of dangerous dog bylaws is always under very large scrutiny, and it is an issue in our community in terms of enforcement. So having the latitudes that we need, which apparently have been tightened up by the provincial court system, somebody fights the fight, and if they don't get support, sometimes they don't get the right support that you need that's representing them. So although it's not, again, it's not a local type of contribution, but we view that it's got merits to our community in the long term.
Okay. Councillor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do we know if this association also gives training or some type of courses for bylaw officers?
They support, so there's the Justice Institute, and so that's where the courses for the bylaw enforcement. So on their website, that's where they would direct their members to for their courses.
Okay. So would somebody like to make a motion on this? The the recommended option is number 1.
I would recommend we go with option 1.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rhodes? Anyone else like to speak to this? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. That's passed. No notice of motion. So, Council General Net Payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts, and to report on expenditures from accounts payable for general Sun Bowl and net payroll accounts to May 21st, 2019. General cash requirements are in the amount of $435,802.03. Sunbowl cash requirements, $12,882.11, and those would be adopted by consensus. And net payroll accounts is $159,115.12, and that is received for information. Next is the summary of building reports, and we were quite interested in having a look at this report because, as we can see, the home building center it takes up a very large part of it, $4,631,000, and the Royal Plaza, the Super 8, is $2,100,000. So that brings our total for the month, including several other multi-level homes and in-ground swimming pools. I hope it warms up for these people can make good use of it, to $8,560,306 total for the month, which must be an all-time record. Is it, Mr. Emanko? Do we know?
No, it wouldn't be. I think back in the heydays of the 2005, 2006,
there was a few others then.
There
Okay, it
were
was before my
some
time.
very, very big numbers then.
Okay.
But this is nice.
Well, yes, it is. So, especially as it's been less than $1 million for the last 4 months, so we can see a big surge here. Anybody else had any concerns about this or questions or? No, it's pretty amazing. So could we have a motion to accept the building permit report for this month? Thank you. Councillor Bennett, Councillor Rhodes, all in favor. Thank you. Any committee reports? No committees that happened this month? All right. We have a CAO report, please.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just a few of the activities of the administration in the last couple of weeks and looking ahead. Starting first in community services, staff have created a request for proposal for the lift installation at the Sun Bowl Arena, and we're waiting for the bids to come in. We have to have the install done by November 30th to meet the grant criteria. The Community Services Advisory Committee is planning to meet this week. The Regional District has appointed Fred Hamilton, Carolyn Isdoli, and Brian Lobb to the committee, and the town has appointed Mike Stiles, Howard Rensler, and Michelle Quayle. The committee meets every other month. With the opening of a splash park, we have organized 2 family splash events on July 17th and August 14th. The summer hours at the Sonora Center will start at the end of June and will be closing at 8 p.m. instead of 9.
Can we find out what that noise is, or is there a problem? It's not Granicus, is it? Okay.
So continue with corporate services. The new bylaw enforcement supervisor, Brendan Goshevic, has been in his position on May 13th, and we're in the process of hiring the seasonal bylaw officers. The annual report is compiled and will be ready for May 31. And for the public and council, the AGM is scheduled for June 17th at 1 p.m. Reminder to the public that the AGM allows the public to address council on matters in the annual report only. Considerable amount of time has been spent working on human resource issues, insurance claims, and victim services issues. And the lawn bowling license to use agreement and negotiation is also being prepared. In terms of finance, all the statutory reporting has been completed for 2018. Currently generating tax notices. Notices will be mailed out by the end of the week. Rural water collection is underway. Offices have been rearranged upstairs for the finance department, and the hiring of a senior accounting clerk is in the process. Planning and development staff have been busy working on new rezoning proposals and variance applications. We've updated the regional development strategy for the RMI funding, and it's been moving back and forth between the province and us, and I think we finally got it. Staff are working on the entrepreneurial immigration program background documents and community connections for future launch for the program in in Osoyoos. 8 submissions in response to the official community plan. Requests for proposals have been received and are now being reviewed by staff. In terms of myself, I've been involved in reviewing the official community plan, RFPs, still working on hiring a fire chief. Have set up a meeting with the Osoyoos Indian Band Council for a joint council meeting, reviewing progress on capital projects, and initiated recruitment of the operations director. That's my report for today.
Thank you very much. Could we have a motion, please, to accept the report? Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Harvey, all in favor. Thank you. And now to councillor reports. Councillor Bennett, you're first.
May 8th, I attended the School District 53 Education Committee. They had a report from some of the groups that attended the skills competitions in Kelowna. If they win there, they move on to provincials and Canadians. But pretty hard for small students from the Okanagan to compete against the larger schools that have the bigger labs and more opportunities. But it was a great experience for the students. They reviewed the student fees and the reason they have to be increased due to the higher cost for materials. Reviewed the extracurriculum courses that are available such each year. They have to be approved, such as the Osoyoos Hockey Academy. And then there's some interesting other courses like peer tutoring, which seems to be pretty popular in School District 53, with the older kids working with the younger kids. I attended a conference May 15th to 17th, the NCL Risk Conference. Basically, as a representative of the board of the Municipal Insurance Association of BC, and basically the National League of Cities represent 75,000 U.S. members and have over 17 billion in premiums. A lot of the stuff was like finding out a lot of orientation, finding out more about risks and courses you take for reinsurance companies, because a lot of your pool resources depends on your reinsurers and what markets you do. And right now, the Municipal Insurance of BC Board is actually looking at different reinsurance companies. So it was a great opportunity to meet a lot of those people. Highlights of the conference were there's 300 delegates from every state attending the new trustees orientation. And we had an opportunity here in the Mayor of Parkland relive the awful day in Florida and the shootings and how it affects the small town like this in a big way, because the mayor is not used to the national headlines and it goes on year after year. It doesn't just end after the tragedy. And then one of the highlights was watching the film All the Queen's Horses, which is a true story of an administrator who stole millions of dollars over 20 years in a small U.S. community. And basically, she did that by, she had a run of the banks, accounts, administration. In the end, everybody that they kind of reviewed and said, like, why didn't somebody notice this happening? Everybody is more bewildered than they were mad. They just couldn't believe that she'd done that. And basically, I think that's part of the reason that with Barry and Jeanette and Jim and the team, all the safeguards in place, like last week when we talked to the auditors, the auditors here actually said we'd like to see more safeguards for Jim to put in. And that's part of the problem. They didn't do that. And in the end, the auditors were actually sued and paid a majority of the lawsuit, which is something like $44 billion. So we're very lucky we have a great organization. So good to you, Barry, and the organization.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, the only meeting I have to report on was an open house up at Destination Osoyoos last week. And the key item out of there that I took away was coverage of natural disasters, in particular fire. So, for example, there was a fire up on Richter Pass a couple of weeks ago. Smoke went north, but it was out within a few days. But the one report I saw, it gets sensationalized generally in the press, current press not excluded, and it causes people to call the local resorts and cancel, or to call the wine tour that they've booked and cancel because of what they read in the press. And it's very incomplete information. So it was a lot of talk about strategies on the part of resort owners to put their own message out on their websites, have a webcam showing a blue sky here at the lake as opposed to, it's not smoke infested from a local fire, things of that nature. But it was quite interesting, and it's presented as an ongoing battle, really, to get the true story out as opposed to a sensational story out. So.
Thank you. And are you not going to a library board meeting?
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow. There's
Okay.
the quarter,
So I
second
figured
quarter
it was
meeting.
this month. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Excuse me. Sorry, air conditioner.
I agree.
Oh, good.
Over there. I don't really have anything to report on. I just wanted to congratulate Glenn Manziuk, who is the head of TODA, which is the Thompson Okanagan Tourist Association, on his achievement at the, I got to get this straight, the United Nations Tourism meeting in, I think, Paraguay in South America. Some of the feedback that's been coming back as he represented our area, the Thompson Okanagan area, in probably the most professional way of any of the people over there. And things just went generally really good, and I thought it would be appropriate for us to congratulate him. Glenn Manziuk is one of the founders of Destination Asuyas and a former resident of our community.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And did economic development for a long time.
And I think, and I'm pretty sure our mayor taught him.
No, I did not. I did not teach him.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Rhodes. I think Glenn and TODA have received, over the last 6 months, about 6 or 7 different awards in various parts of the world. It's a nice job if you can get it, because I guess they get to travel to all these parts as well. So,
Yeah, this was the pinnacle of awards.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good for them. They do an excellent job. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended the Community Safety and Crime Prevention Committee along with Madam Mayor and Oliver to discuss some of the issues, I guess, or concerns they have in the South Okanagan. But what's really exciting was I attended the Accessibility and Age-Friendly Committee back on May 9th, and to let everybody know, on June 1st is Access Awareness Day, and I'm presuming the mayor and council will get an invite to this, because they're bringing in some unique type of equipment, not only some wheelchairs that you'll be able to drive down the street in or roll down the street in and check out our sidewalks and how good they are or how good they're not, but a great piece of equipment is coming where a person that can't use their legs will be able to be strapped in and they can actually play golf.
Wow.
So it'll be a unique piece of equipment to see, and I'm happy to say the town did submit a little grant for $500 and was the recipient. So
Good.
there's a bit of funding there, and it'll happen right outside here at Town Hall. So hopefully you can all attend.
Well, some of us will attend.
We'll get you at the top of the list. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's at the same time as the market is on.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And we're doing a proclamation the day before at Town Hall. So that leaves me, and there have been a few things that have been on. I went to the education budget meeting because Councillor Bennett was away, and they talked about all the things that had been included in the budget. It looks like things are okay for another year, at least, before they need to redo things at the government level. We're always there because we're quite keen on keeping tabs on what's happening in our local community. I was also later that night at the PCN, Primary Care Network meeting that's put on by Division of Family Practice and local doctors and Interior Health. So Councillor Bennett attends, and I attend sometimes, and we just like to keep up to date on a lot of the new things that are happening in terms of health-related things. I was also went to the naloxone training, which it was put on here in Asuyas on May the 6th. It was also, as part of our rural health group, it was also put on the same type of training in Oliver, in Karamias, and in Princeton. So everybody has had the opportunity. and I actually know how to use the naloxone kit, and I have one in my office, just in case. I was also up at Okanagan Basin Water Board. We did a Make Water Work pledge last week up in Kelowna at one of the schools, and my pledge was to water the plants and not the sidewalk, and to water in the evening, early in the morning or late in the evening. And I was telling the kids there that what I had actually done was the day before I turned on my sprinklers, because I have automatic sprinklers, turned them on in the middle of the day and manually, and checked each of my systems, because I discovered that some of the sprinklers were pointing the wrong way. One of the actual sprinkler heads was broken, and I repaired it all by myself. I was quite proud of myself, and so that was just checking to make sure that I'm using water correctly and responsibly, and adjusting the system too. When we had rain last week, I turned my sprinklers off. I didn't need to have them on when we already had rain. So just being responsible. I also went online and made a pledge, which I encourage everyone in town to do, because last year there were awards, well, there have been for several years, given out to the community that per capita comes up with the most pledges to make water work, and we were number 2 last year. So my recommendation is that everybody goes on the website, the Okanagan Basin Water Board, Make Water Work, and pledge, and maybe we will be number 1 this year. And the other thing is that I have one of these, Make Water Work. It's a Frisbee, but it's also measures how much water that you're using. So if you put it out on your grass, and you can figure out, because the water comes in here, and you can figure out whether you're watering too much or not enough. So it collects the water, and you can check that. And there are little markers on here that tell you. So I'd like to recommend that to everybody, and I'm sort of challenging council members, please, to go online and put your name in, even if you're going on holiday. Councillor King.
My water will be on.
Okay, and that's. Oh, I know. The other thing I was going to mention was we had a fire, as Councillor Harvey mentioned, last week over between Osoyoos and Karamias, closer to the Costin side than certainly to the Osoyoos side. But I thought it was certainly in the news every day. There were lots of resources that came in, plus the weather helped to put out the fire. And the emergency operations room at our fire hall was used very well, I understand, by the forestry. Yeah, forestry people, and there were lots of them there, and they used it, and that was really one of the reasons that it was put in that way. So we're glad to see that happened, and that people are responding to fires and floods and all that kind of stuff quickly and with good resources, and they're better prepared than a couple of years ago. So we thank them all very much. So I think that's all that we have on the agenda today. So could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you, everyone. Dale, you missed most.